everyone, so I realized I haven't posted a video in about a couple weeks, and now I'm finally posting a new one, and this one is about Kabuki and volunteer work. And the reason I'm putting those two together is because both actions have happened within 24 hours of each other. So this is like a kind of catching up with the times video. So first I'm going to talk about Kabuki. For those of you who don't know, Kabuki is a form of Japanese theater that is well known for having very dramatic face paint and very dramatic costumes. And by face paint, they're generally painted, all of the actors and whatnot, are painted in like stark white paint on any skin that's visible. And then they have various colored striations on their face, and the colors actually mean something. It's really complicated. There's literally like 10 different types of stripes you can have on your face to denote what character you are, but I believe the most simple one is red generally means a villain and blue generally means the good guy. So, very, very cool. Anyway, I went with a friend of mine who's studying at a different Japanese university to see Kabuki. And so you go to see Kabuki for the drama of it all. And you go to see the costumes, and Kabuki is long. It's a long production. The play that my friend and I went to was roughly 4 hours. And granted, there was a fair amount of break time, maybe about an hour in total between all of the different breaks, but even still, it had 3 hours of active playtime. So that was pretty intense. I mean, going to Kabuki is literally like a whole evening. But well worth it. I would say, especially because I'm a student, I can get a student price at this particular theater. I can see a 4-hour performance for about $30. Also, just for fun, the place I went to is called the National Theater, and in Japanese the name is Kokuritsu Gekijo. And a little slower, Koku, which means like country, Ritsu, Gekijo, which somewhere in there is theater. I believe Gekijo means theater, and Ritsu, I'm not sure what that means. That might be like, kind of like the AL modifier of an adjective. Anyway, so the performance was really good. It took a little bit of getting used to, because number one, the play is not in modern Japanese, it's in old-fashioned Japanese. Almost like going to a Shakespeare play and you have to get used to hearing 16th century English. So they have a lot of earphone guides for these plays. And what's really cool is they have one in English, and the guy who did the translation for English for this play is not only the guy I went to get information about Kabuki, but he is a professor from Portland State University. And so it was very cool to see someone who was in a field of Japanese and then doing this other work on the side and then having it come to fruition. That was very cool to, I guess, hear, not see. The costumes, true to form, are very extravagant. In fact, Kabuki is all male actors, and they had a little explanation about Kabuki before the play even started on the earphone guide. And they were saying on how, in some ways, it would be impossible for women to do some of these parts because the costumes, especially women's costumes, are these big, gorgeous, heavy kimonos, and something like the costume could easily weigh 50, 60, 70 pounds. So the argument would be that most women would not even have the strength to like walk in the costume, let alone be graceful in it. So the play's plot was, as I understand it, pretty standard for a Kabuki play. It was full of blood, guts, revenge, and fighting over prostitutes. That's the general flavor of what I think it is. What else? Oh, but to be a little more specific, there is like a prosperous samurai family, and there's someone who's in line for succession, and then the people who are in line for succession / parents, they get caught on the Tokaido Highway, which is a famous traveling road in Japan, and other samurais slaughter them. And it's it's almost like a big murder mystery, and then the sons of the fathers are trying to find the guy who did it and avenge their death and take what's theirs, blah, 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 blah. But it was really fun. And then two other aspects about Kabuki is one, it's kind of bad, but in terms of when Americans make fun of how Asian people talk, this is probably the worst thing ever, because Kabuki, not only is it an old-style Japanese, but there is this incredibly weird intonation wave pattern of speaking that they do. And it's like, like, it's the worst stereotype that I think any foreign person can have of, like, an Asian speaking language, or Japan for that matter, of, like, hearing Japanese people actually say, like that. And then there was another thing that I didn't quite understand. So the way a Kabuki stage is set up is you have a big main stage, and then you have two aisles, walking aisles that extend from the stage that the actors still walk on, almost like a fashion show walkway. And then on the very end, like in a corner, there is this guy with two rectangular, like yay big, solid wooden blocks. And I called him the Slappy Block Guy, and for short, I'm just going to call him Slappy. So throughout this 4-hour play, there would be moments where Slappy would start slapping these blocks on the stage, and I mean like purposefully loud, like wham, wham, da 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 da. And the weirdest thing is that when you were looking at what's going on, like, he's not in timing with anything. Like, he's the smacks on the floor are not timed with, like, the movement of the actors. So I was a little bit baffled as to what Slappy's purpose was, because it didn't seem like there was one other than to keep people from falling asleep, because I saw people who were falling asleep, and then, you know, Slappy would start his, you know, schmuchik, and people would be like, blah, like that. So that was Kabuki, and it was a lot of fun. And I did that on Friday night, and then the next morning, I had my second volunteer activity that I've done so far in Japan. The first volunteer activity was a presentation that I had to give about American culture for roughly half an hour to a senior citizen group. And then what was nice is that among this group, there was one lady who was teaching 2 Japanese girls English. And I got to help teach today with those 2 girls, and it was so cute. I just have to say, Asian babies, so cute. Like, there's nothing cuter. Nothing. And so I went to help, and I mean, these little girls are like 6, and almost exploded from the cuteness. And not to mention, I got to teach them the hokey pokey today. So that was fun and very interesting, being a 20-year-old woman doing the hokey pokey again. And yeah, oh, and another thing that's really nice though is, 1, I'll probably go to this volunteer work again, and 2, I believe this lady knows a teaching facility that she can help me possibly find actual paid work at, so that is very exciting. And that's what I've got to report. Oh, and before I forget, I have taken the liberty, I took like 2 or 3 pictures of the Kabuki theater, just some stuff, and I'll post those along with the video. And just as a caption, I believe the display that I took a picture of, it's like a fake statue of an actor, and then he's got this huge elaborate costume on. His hair and his hat and his makeup, I believe, suggests that he is a ghost and not alive, therefore. So yeah, okay,